Packing up didn't take much time. It was obvious that Himitsu wasn't really planning to stay long, as she had only taken a few personal belongings with her. Perhaps I had overreacted, and it would have been better to just wait until she calmed down and forced her father to return home. Nah, screw those thoughts. I did everything right. I did exactly what I should have done the only way it could have been done. I mean, there are other ways it could have been done. It wouldn't have ended well. I guess, in all my actions, and particularly my thoughts, you could see a clear tendency for a kind of martyrdom. Yeah. Unconsciously, I was expecting myself to fail and get nailed to the cross by Ryunosuke-san, suffering in the name of love. And again, there was that spiritual simulacrum, the higher feeling that was condescendingly laughing at everything mundane, worldly. To put it simply, I was positive that Himitsu would have been happier to know that I was alive, but without her, rather than dead for her sake. Besides, I managed to Kaj? Kaj? What the fuck does Kaj mean? I managed to cadge a couple of Nikomons from her grandmother. We were going back to Tokyo, the provincial town having disappeared into the distance. The roadway went parallel to the railway, and I noted once again how strikingly different were the views from the cars and the train's windows. Now, the trees on the roadside appeared as an impenetrable barrier hiding some sort of treasure. I couldn't see the mountains behind them, and it felt like we were in some kind of lowland swamp. Himitsu put her hand on my shoulder and fell asleep. Occasionally I would catch Ryunosuke-san's angry glances in the rearview mirror and smile apologetically in return. His hands nervously fidgeted on the wheel. The experienced intelligence, or counterintelligence might be the correct term I guess, officer wasn't even trying to hide his opinion on the situation. I wonder what was making him more mad, the fact that Himitsu was snuggling up to me so openly, without holding back, and that she was doing so in front of her own father, who was just presented with the facts of the situation and couldn't offer any objection. When we reached the house, it was already dark. Himitsu barely managed to open her eyes and get out of the car. She answered Ryunosuke-san's silent question. I need to cook something for Nico-kun. I felt like the sigh that followed, seemingly to contain all his fatherly disappointment and irritation, could be heard by the entire neighborhood. I took out my keys and gave them to her. I'll be right there. Himitsu decided not to argue and left us alone. Ryunosuke-san. I suddenly felt a desire to call him Otto-san, my face screwing up from barely contained laughter. What about school? I'll handle it. It's surprisingly easy for you to change your daughter's schools multiple times a week. That's not what's important now. Not for Himitsu. He sighed again, this time rather wearily. Nikolai, remember, you must tell me everything. Ryunosuke-san looked around and quickly strummed his fingers on the dash. Everything that happens, about all contact with the KGB and other suspicious individuals. Suspicious individuals? Like who, for example? For example, you get me. Stop. For example, you get me. Wait, what? How the fuck am I? For example, you get me. Stop pretending to be an idiot. Not that I really did get him, but I could guess. You know, I look at you and I fail to understand what happened to you this past year. Your parents, I understand. Yes, it's a tragedy, especially for a child. Yes, you were left alone, but usually this makes people close up, hold a grudge against the entire world. While you... He sighed again, apparently indicating that our conversation was over. While me? Himitsu was making dinner, and, too cheerfully, I thought, humming some pop tune. As if nothing had happened at all for her, as if this was a normal evening. I was sitting in front of the TV set, not paying much attention to what it was showing, chewing on a toothpick I'd found somewhere, and occasionally throwing glances at my new girlfriend. Ryunosuke-san told me that he'll handle everything about school. I guess Saya-chan will be happy. Yes. She replied briefly, keeping her eyes on the cutting board. Are you happy? Of course. Good then. I wanted to start a serious discussion with Himitsu right now. It would take some time for her emotions to settle down, and I needed a breather to think everything through carefully. Your grandma's house is nostalgic. When was I there last? 7, 8 years ago? I guess so. Feels like nothing's changed. Well, nothing really has. I guess grandmas are the same everywhere. Although I don't remember my grandparents that well. I was too little. And of course Mom's parents were at the funeral. Nico-kun. Just stop cutting things. Don't worry, I'm alright. You remember them, right? I smiled. Yes. So, well, the conversation took a wrong turn. Of course it's going to be a little weird at first. First everyone is told that I'm not going to study here anymore.
And then whoop, I just come back.
Mm-hmm. Turns out I was extremely hungry.
But that's for the better. I wouldn't want to miss the school festival.
To a degree, I agreed with Ryunosuke-san. School wasn't the main issue right now.
Nico-kun?
What? No. I mumbled with my mouth full.
You're not listening to me at all.
You're like a dentist asking the patient questions in the middle of a procedure. Himitsu pouted, and everything became normal again, as if the hardships and sorrows of the past days never happened, as if Himitsu hadn't gone anywhere and I hadn't been running after her through that magical forest fleeing from her own father. I'm just a bit tired. My psyche wasn't prepared for all these shocks.
Everything's going to be alright.
She took me by the hand. It suddenly moved me so much that I felt I was about to cry. I looked aside as if she wouldn't notice. And even if everything was way too complicated, my only wish, for now, was to make this moment last forever. Hell yeah. I love you. Have I told you that?
I don't really remember.
Himitsu made a serious face, but I couldn't hold it for long and laughed. I pulled her to me and kissed her. And it was our first real kiss. I was lying in bed and thinking about the future. Today, one page of my life turned over, giving place to something new. It seemed there were a lot of words, paragraphs, and punctuation marks. But all of them combined to a single blurry mirage, as it was merely one of the paths the future could follow. And all the black symbols on the white parchment of our lives would take their form and become forever fixed in an eternity later, when we write them with our actions. Okay. Interessante. Soon the date on the calendar would change and October would follow September. My life, meanwhile, had already changed. Yesterday I couldn't fall asleep, running through what had happened over and over again in my head. Later in the night, my dark thoughts returned, whispering to me about how the KGB and the corporation don't give a damn about our love, now Ryunosuke-san isn't omnipotent. But the day started as usual, and that's exactly what I expected. The garden door creaking, the chill morning breeze blowing lightly, a slight touch of lips, and a cute whisper over my ear.
Wake up, sleepyhead.
I opened my eyes and immediately grabbed Himitsu by the hands, pulling her in and making her fall on me.
Nico-kun, we'll be late for school.
I was exploring her body greedily with my hands, like a newborn explores everything new.
Nico-kun.
As much as I wanted to continue, I realized it would be best not to hurry. We were just beginning to get to know each other in our new roles. Breakfast turned out to be rather normal. Eggs, toast, some bacon. Himitsu had also made a bento. She had woken up at least an hour earlier than me again. Today I was really grateful for that. Thank you.
But you haven't even eaten yet.
Just thank you for existing. At first she didn't seem to understand, but then smiled. In some special new way. Hell yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
Has Ryunosuke-san said anything?
No, why?
Just curious. Most likely one day I'd have to tell her that her father had somewhat different plans for me just the previous day.
Nico-kun, everything's going to be alright.
She repeated the words like a mantra. As long as you believe it, that's what's most important.
Don't you?
I believe you.
Nico-kun.
Her eyes lit up, and I suddenly imagined that we were characters in some sort of high school soap opera. What? That's wild. A guy confesses his love to a girl, having overcome all barriers set up by the script, and destroyed every paper-thin obstacle. Camera. Action. The roof of a school and a close-up of the main characters kissing against the sunset. Credits roll. I swear to God, that's actually how this fucking ends. We're never shown what happens to them next. Perhaps the next morning the girl will get off on the wrong foot, or hit her period, and the guy will snap at her. What percentage of school romances survive the stage of infatuation?
Nico-kun?
I really didn't know what to do next. With Catherine, it had been different. Easier, I guess. It's always easier to erect a new building than to try and fix an old one. Even more so to rebuild it completely into something else. Aren't you afraid that, well, this won't work out for us?
Guess what?
Himitsu was battering her big green eyes. Was she not even allowing herself to think about that? Never mind.
Hey!
Stop haying. I tore off a piece of bread and threw it at her.
It's a sin to throw food.
Sin? Really? I laughed and imagined Himitsu in a shawl holding a candle in her hands. Her face wasn't that Asian if I really looked at it.
Children are starving in Africa.
How's that our fault?
It's not our fault, but it's just not nice to do that.
Fine. I quickly made an airplane out of a napkin, but didn't even make it a meter before crashing into the table. See, the plane carrying humanitarian aid crashed in the Mongolian steppe.
Nico-kun, you're incorrigible.
Do you want me to be corrigible? Himitsu took her time to reply, and the surprise on her face changed to thoughtfulness, then embarrassment.
No,
Why?
because then I would need to love some other Nico-kun, and I already love you.
What an interesting syllogism.
So, what?
Yeah, I don't know either. Jism. Oh, Gizm. That's a jism. Oh, that's fucking great. Gizm. Gizmo, like in the Gremlins, remember? Would you like to have a real one?
No.
Himitsu replied, frowning as if she was offended by something. But he's so cute. Little, fluffy, clever.
It makes monsters if he gets wet.
It's not his fault.
Cats are also little and fluffy and safe.
I wonder what Catherine would have said. Why? Why is that what you think of? Stop it. Why did I even remember you're here? That's what I want to know, dude. Come on. We had the big confession moment. Everything's going great. And now it's like, what would Catherine say? Who gives a fuck? I think she would have just smirked. I think I don't give a shit. Well, alright. Cats are also an option. I agreed. I felt like we hadn't gone to school together for an eternity. Himitsu was waltzing and smiling at the weak September sunlight. It seemed that for her, she'd hit her goal in life. There was nothing left to pursue anymore. Only enjoy. If only I had her carelessness. Looking at her, I was also filled with a new, for me, feeling of serenity. A completely unfamiliar feeling of simple happiness, which only needs you to be with the person you love. Love. I obviously needed to get to know it all over again. If you walk into class like that, you won't even have to tell Sayachan a thing. It's written all over your face.
Will you tell Kyosuke-san?
Well, I haven't really thought about that. I grew embarrassed.
Nico-kun.
She stopped and looked at me in the eyes. I mean, there's nothing to hide here, but just shouting it from the rooftops. Besides, we're talking about Kyosuke. He'll find everything out before anybody else, all on his own.
Nico-kun.
She quickly laughed.
I'm just joking.
You and your jokes. As we were approaching the school gate, we saw Catherine walking in our direction. Oh, God. Himitsu immediately took me by the arm and pulled me closer as hard as she could. Seeing that, Catherine gave an exaggerated huff, turned her nose up, and quickened her pace. Good. I didn't know what to say. Didn't want to say anything. And luckily, somebody shouted from the schoolyard. Here they are. I told you. I looked at Himitsu and smiled apologetically.
Well, I should go. See you later.
Himitsu said quickly and ran away. Nick, I want to know everything in detail. Kyosuke exclaimed, running up to me. Is Himitsu-chan? There isn't much to tell. Carefully put my arm around his shoulders and dragged him to the lockers. Especially that loudly. Well, you two don't seem to be trying to hide anything. He giggled disgustingly. Had this really been the first time Himitsu held me by the arm at school? No, couldn't be. What makes you think that... Come on, you've already admitted it. Also, what about that situation, you know? What situation? The one we discussed on Friday. I did borrow money from Kyosuke. He might have saved my life by lending it to me. The thought made me feel guilty. Oof, well, it's a bit of a long story. Not the best place to tell it either. Let's talk about this later. My friend nodded in understanding. I sighed heavily, just like Ryunosuke-san the other day, and went to change my shoes. Classes started somehow too routinely for me. Of course, I wasn't too happy to be at school, but I also couldn't say I felt weird here. Besides, Kyosuke wasn't trying to talk to me during class. No one could stop him during recess, though. During lunch, I took out my bento. I opened it and saw carefully packed rice with pieces of boiled carrot in the shape of a heart. Aw, that's so sweet. I slammed the box shut. Don't be a dick. Do you have a minute? Michael approached me, his face as emotionless as ever. Take a seat, let's eat together. I meant a minute in private. Alright. I was enthusiastic about the prospect of showing my bento to the entire class anyway, especially to Kyosuke. We walked to the yard. Distracted by hearts and stuff, I didn't take any time to think about what he wanted to talk about. Yeah, no doubt. I'm surprised. For once, his mind's not immediately going, oh, Catherine. Although it's pretty obvious. Yeah, no shit. I saw you two in the morning. Spying on me, are you? I said without much interest and sat on the bench. I assume you've already made your choice? Apparently so. Frankly, I didn't want to go through all this again. And you didn't even think to tell me about it, did you? No, why would I? I've already told you that I need your answer about Catherine. I get it, I interrupted him. Here's my answer. Happy now? I looked him straight in the eye. Michael didn't grow even a tad embarrassed. I think you should have considered her feelings, too. That concern is yours now. Nick, I'm tired of all this talk. Is there something you aren't satisfied with? Nobody's in your way now. What else do you need to be happy? Do you require some special permission from me? A blessing, maybe? A written agreement? I got mad again, but to be fair, Michael was behaving sort of strangely, too. Obviously, some things in life are self-explanatory, right? So, anything to say? He was standing there and giving me a piercing look. If somebody else had been in his place, I would have said the look contained more resentment than anything else. A low-flying group of storm clouds were approaching from the seaside. It was about to catch up to the sun, which seemed to be running away from it to the west, absorb it, and fly on, hiding everything on its way in darkness. Suddenly it seemed to me that there was nothing on the other side of this wall of clouds, just absolute emptiness. The annihilation of being itself and the actual end of the world are usually considered pure evil. How can nothingness have any intentions that could fit into the framework of human morality? Jesus, that's fucking existential. You seem to be standing your ground. Oh, Misha, Misha. I muttered in Russian. Be happy together and best of luck to you both. I grabbed his hand, shook it firmly, and returned to the school. I still had to handle the issue of my bento. I didn't have to search for Himitsu for long. She was in her classroom, talking to friends. I called her over with a nod. She immediately stood up and quickly said something to them and almost ran to me.
Nika-kun.
Yeah, hi. Have you had lunch yet?
No.
Then let's go to... Michael was in the yard. So the only place left would be... Anyway, let's just go. Yeah, the rooftop, I'm sure... Yeah, so we walked to the roof, but turned out not to be alone there either. Are you ever? It's almost like there's someone who's always up here, and you should kind of expect that. Kagome was standing before us, leaning on the rails, and observing the approaching storm front. She heard the creak of the door, jumped, and turned around. For a moment I saw surprise and some sort of childlike innocence on her face. I stared unwittingly at her, as you might stare at the first spring flowers pushing through the snow. But for Himitsu, that single moment was enough. I instantly felt a supernova about to be born right next to me. Meanwhile, Kagome came back to reality and quickly headed for us. Wait. What now? Just want to tell you that we're fine now. Happy for you, she said as if trying to wave away a nasty gnat. What about you? Found your father? Kagome gave me a piercing look for a few seconds before replying. Yes, I have. Without your help. Sorry, I had my own problems. Problems. She smirked and looked at Himitsu. If I were you, I wouldn't be so sure that everything will end so easily. It wasn't clear whether Kagome was addressing me or Himitsu. What? What are you talking about? If... Doesn't matter. She grumbled and squeezed past me to the door. I thought there was more to say and it bothered me. I wanted to stop her, but Himitsu grabbed me by the hand and shook her head. What? But...
Let her go.
If you think that she and I just wanted... In case she knows something...
Nika-kun, calm down. She doesn't know anything. She just wanted to irritate you.
Himitsu looked unusually serious. You just don't know her. Iwamura usually doesn't waste words.
Oh, don't you know her a little too well?
Me? I don't...
Nika-kun, relax. I'm joking. Let's eat.
By the way, about that... We sat on the bench and I opened my bento. Did you want to turn me into a laughingstock?
What do you mean?
Yeah, she was being sweet. Don't be a dick. She was being very nice and lovely, alright? That's cute. That's sweet. How dare you? Everyone's gonna laugh at me. Who cares? It's sweet. It's so nice. Don't fucking make her feel bad for that. There's nothing to be ashamed of there. Don't you understand? Don't you understand? Huh? Don't you understand? That she makes this very sweet gesture for you and you're just like, fuck. God damn, why is she being all cute and sweet and shit? It's just so embarrassing. Fuck off. Fuck out of here with that shit. Embrace it, homie. Because that shit's nice. I pointed my finger at the shape made of carrots. You never did that before. Yeah, y'all weren't together before.
Well, now I do.
Hell yeah, you do. Yeah. Be confident. Take charge of that shit, Himitsu. Don't let him bring you down. Should have warned me. I grumbled and picked up my chopsticks. Don't be a pussy. There's indeed nothing unusual about the bento. Nobody but Kyosuke will probably pay any attention to it. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. It's just your lunch. How many people are going to be like, oh, what's Nikolai over here eating? Oh, is that a heart shape in your food? Like, yeah, no, I mean, yes, Kyosuke is the gossip whore, so of course he's, you know, he'd see it like, oh my god, oh. But also, who gives a shit? But Kagome's words refused to leave my head. Of course, Himitsu might have been right, but Iwamura had found her father too quickly and easily. Yeah, that is true. After the fucking 30-hour process I went to fucking get to her father, you know, I think the fact that she got there so quick is kind of concerning. And I really wanted to hear her story in detail. Oh, and I'm sure she wants to tell it. So what did Saya-chan say?
About my return? Well, she was surprised. And the other girls, too. They were going to visit me over the weekend.
Yeah, just gotta be careful not to get lost in the forest.
In the forest?
It's nothing. There's this magical forest next to your place.
Is this another joke?
Yeah, sort of.
Maybe you don't have any plans after school.
Of course not. Why would I?
Then,
She stumbled, blushed, and lowered her eyes. If you want to visit a woman's clothing store, just say it. There's nothing to be shy about here. Oh, yeah. There's nothing to be shy about, says the guy who's getting shy over a heart made of carrots in his lunchbox.
oh, I wanted to go on a date.
What? I heard what she had said, but seemed not to understand it.
Since we're dating officially now, I want you to take me on a real date.
She blurted out. Ah, I see. Alright. I shrugged. What do people usually do on a real date? I hadn't been on one for so long that I'd already forgotten.
Hey, show more enthusiasm.
Yes, ma'am. I saluted to her.
That's better.
We finished our meals and returned to the classrooms. Goddamn, this shit too sweet. I don't know what the big issue is gonna be coming up, but right now, this shit just too sweet. I love it. I spent the remaining time before the end of class thinking about what I could arrange for Himitsu. Sure, I could use scenarios from when I had been dating Catherine, but that somehow seemed unfair. Yeah. Cinema. The thought suddenly occurred to me. Love seats. I'd never seen or heard of someone actually kissing or doing anything more risque in the last row of seats in a cinema. You haven't? Himitsu was embarrassed by even the slightest display of affection in public. Doing something like that in a movie theater was out of the question. Yeah, duh. And the only thing left was right back to the amusement park.
Wow.
Himitsu exclaimed and span around. We'd only just recently been to the amusement park, so her reaction was more of an attempt to cheer me up and let me know I'd made the right choice. Just remember, a shell never falls in the same crater twice.
What do you mean?
I mean that I can't win anything for you today, even if you believe that elephant needs a girlfriend.
Nika-kun.
She laughed and took me by the hand.
What if we're lucky?
Have you ever held a gun in your hands?
No, but there's a first time for everything. Anyway, my elephant seems to be doing just fine on his own.
We were passing by the ghost house. I couldn't believe that just 2 weeks ago, Himitsu had ran out of it in tears. It was surprising that so much could happen in such a short period of time, more than during the year and a half before it. A person's life is like Morse code, a dash line, except some have longer dashes than others. Do you want to go for a roller coaster ride?
No way, I'd get dizzy.
Maybe a merry-go-round then? Himitsu gave it some thought.
Aren't we too old for that?
It's kind of weird to hear that from you.
Let's go on the Ferris wheel instead.
Oh, do I finally get my sweet Ferris wheel moment? Because he brought Kagome here, they said they went on the Ferris wheel, but then like nothing actually happened. I didn't get to see. I want a CG. I want a Ferris wheel CG. I need that shit expeditiously. Sure. Yes! Something that simple, but I will take it. That's exactly what I want. That's that good shit. That's that good shit. That's that fucking good shit right there. There's nothing I love more than a good Ferris wheel CG, aight? That shit, oh. That's just hitting. That's just hitting. All the right notes. Oh. Whew. Sheesh. Anyway. Bye.